running is great because it has a really low threshold as to what you actually need to get into it. You don't need anything special. You can literally have a pair of trainers. However, today I'm going to run you through all the gear that I use for long distance runs and what I'll be taking with me as well, because there's actually a handful of things that will be taken with me that are quite, I would say, niche and a bit weird. Section number 1 is a head torch. Don't carry this all the time. If I know I'm going to be running dusk, dark, I run in the dark quite a lot late at night. Head torch saves the day. It was like a £12 one off of Amazon that runs on AAA batteries, so it wasn't expensive. Doesn't need to be special. I live in England, and subsequently it is cold 90% of the time. Don't like running trying to breathe in the cold. It's not like a plasticky one. It's more like a cottony feeling one. I find it helps me breathe through it a bit better. Like if I've got one of the other ones and if I try and breathe through that, it just doesn't work. So I like this one. It stinks, but it is what it is. I have 2 different options of running vest. I've not been using this one lately. I've been using the black one more, but this is like, it's got a bladder section in the back and then like a little pocket just for whatever. And it's got some pockets on the front and stuff. I don't use a bladder. I absolutely hate running with a bladder because it just makes my back all sweaty. And I've kind of found this one to be a bit more preferable, because it's more like I think it's a 10-litre rucksack on the back. So you can have a bladder in it if you want. It's got like a bladder pocket. I just, like I say, I don't like bladders. I don't use them. In the back, in the rucksack, I keep a selection of emergency gear. I've got this little like emergency pack. I've not had to use it yet. However, if I ever do need to use it, I know what's in there. So I keep these like Ranger bands. They're like rubbery, which are just really helpful in case I need to lash something together, start a fire. They're great fire starters, whatever. You never know what you're going to need. And so I like to keep them around. I keep a couple of them in my bag that I carry with me each day as well. Then I have everything in this little like waterproof pouch that cost pennies. I don't know where it was from. Inside of this, it really is emergency stuff. I wouldn't use it unless I absolutely had to. So I keep some honey just for like little sachets of honey. And I keep a little pack here that's sort of got a little bit more in. Like a cleaning wipe, some bandages, some blister plasters, an emergency blanket, and some cable ties. Really weird thing to keep, I know, but as I say, if my shoe falls apart, I'm cable tying that fucker back together. You just never know when you're going to need it. And then some paracetamol as well, just in case anything goes horrendously wrong and I'm in agony. The emergency blanket, I would say, is probably one of the more important sides to that thing, because if everything goes horrendously wrong and I'm waiting to be retrieved, then there's nothing worse than being sweaty and dripping with sweat and being very cold. So that obviously all folds down quite nicely into a nice little waterproof pack that goes in the back of my vest. Other things that I keep in my vest are 2 water bottles. I don't know what they're called. They're like the sack ones. They're not solid, so they compress as you drink them. In this particular vest, they both live in the front. They both live in the front pockets. I keep a handful of pound coins and notes in this pocket, just in case I need to get anything from a shop. I don't run with a wallet on me in case I lose it or get robbed or whatever. Nothing else really goes in there. I've got a whistle on this one. You know, using a whistle makes more noise than shouting and requires less energy. On my person, I always run. I've got so many pairs of the same shorts now. They're not like special running shorts or anything. They're just like general training shorts from Represent. They have like 2 sets of pockets on each side. So they have a zip pocket. They have like an extra little external pocket. In the zip pocket, on one side, phone, on the other side, key. These are just like little reflective gloves by a company called Ron Hill. Nothing special. They normally only stay on for like the first 10-15 minutes of the run, depending on how cold it is. Once I've started, I'm normally warmed up and I don't really need to worry about it. Then that's pretty much everything that I carry. If I was doing a really longer run, like 30 miles, and I was going a bit more like off the beaten path, I'd probably throw a lighter in there somewhere in the pack, just in case I had to start a fire. The other thing that I might carry with me is food. So normally I'll have like an emergency set of food as well. This ranges from a couple of different things. My main one is like this nut-free banana bar. I just buy like boxes of 20 off of Amazon for like 17 quid. I eat them every day anyway. It's like my pre-run meal. Then I also have a couple of other things as well, which are gels. These come in all different sorts. I hate gels. They make me feel sick. There is nothing worse than being like 15, 20 miles in a run and slurping something down that has the same consistency of toothpaste, and none of them taste particularly nice. The only ones that I do somewhat get along with are the Vela Forte ones, because they're not as like chemical tasting. They're all natural ingredients, so they don't taste like I'm huffing bleach. Then they also do these things that are like chews that just have some excess carbs in and stuff, which I find really helpful. As I say, if I'm really deep into a run and I get hungry, then it helps with that. The other thing that we have is an emergency pack, something that just lives on the side in my office, or it will live in the van when we're out on the run itself. All my family, anyone that might know where that might need to pick me up, know where this is in case it is a dire emergency. Not going to take it all apart because it's kind of just the bigger one of the little one that I showed you. A couple of emergency blankets, loads of sachets of honey, some fruit pastels, some more electrolytes, a couple more of those chews, a bar, and a bandana, which might sound really stupid, but it would just, instead of trying to get bandages out of a pack or anything, just wrapping a bandana around something can often help. So we just keep that in one of these packs again. I have a plethora of trainers at the moment that I'm slowly working my way through. I say slowly, I get through like a pair of trainers every 2 weeks at the moment. These are the Pegasus Trail 4s. All of the trainers I'm using at the moment are Nike. So if you care about that, they're all Nike. These are the Pegasus Trail 4s. These are brilliant for like day-to-day shoes, but they're also really nice actual trail shoes. They're very stable and flat. There's no carbon in them. I don't like running long distance in them. There's different things with the shoes. They all have different parts of your body, or like my legs specifically, that they target differently. Obviously, I generally prefer to run in a much softer shoe, solely because of the impact and stuff. And this is applicable to pretty much everybody, but I specifically tend to stick with much softer shoes, just solely because with the plate in my leg, a lot of consistently hard impact, which you get with those shoes particularly, tends to niggle my plate a little more than I would like. And so subsequently, I generally like stay to softer shoes to stop that from happening. Then the next set of shoes are, I've only put about 20, 30 miles in these so far, so I don't have too much of an answer for you as to how much I like them. These are the Nike Invincibles. They look massive and they are really big for running shoes. Like the bottoms of them are really quite sizable. Really like the design. Like they look sick, but they're not carbon again. They're just squidgy. I don't think they're carbon. No, they're not. They're not carbon. They're just like soft shoes. They're really thick bottoms though, so they are good for taking impact. I just haven't worn them in enough yet to give like a real opinion, because at the moment they're still really tight around like the metatarsals of my foot, and subsequently I find quite uncomfortable to run in, so I don't generally use them that much at the moment. These two pairs, these are my main running shoes at the moment. We've got the Alpha Fly Mark IIs here, the Kipchoge ones, which are brilliant. These have had about 250 miles put through them since I've had them. I've had them a month. So I put about 250 miles through them in about 3 weeks. And they've got a little bit more life left in them, but they are pretty dead. I find the carbon plate in these shoes is really harsh. And so once it's dead, I can feel the carbon against my foot quite significantly, and it makes it very painful. So they're kind of on their last legs now. And these are what I've been running in for the last week. These are the Vaporfly Mark IIIs. And I've got to say, I hated them at first, but I love them now. I smashed a marathon in these over the weekend. They gel to your feet so nicely. It feels like you're not running anything. Even though they're really narrow bottomed, they feel very, very stable. One of the things that I don't necessarily like about Alpha Flies is if you ever have to slow down or walk or like wait for a road to cross or go slowly for whatever reason, they're insanely unstable to just stand around and walk in. These aren't as bad. I can use these for pretty generic purposes beyond just running as well, and they're quite comfy for that too. And I really like them. They're carbon plated. I run slightly slower in these than I do in the Alpha Flies. The Alpha Flies I can hold about 20 seconds faster per mile. So it's quite a sizable difference, I would say. But in terms of how the Vaporflies feel on my legs, much less quad dominant. I would say they're a little bit more hamstring dominant. The heel to toe drop is a lot more noticeable. So it's more of like a pull-in action with the upper part of my leg, which I don't really mind. And I think what it's essentially going to boil down to is when it comes to doing the runs, I'm going to alternate between each type of shoe each day, just so that, like, obviously doing over a marathon a day is going to be quite a significant impact on your legs. And so I'll be using different shoes to target different areas of my legs every day. If I can have a hamstring dominant day one day and then a quad dominant day the next day, then, you know, everything gets a bit of a rest at each time. And that's all the shoes. That's it. I'll also link all of the products that I get down below. Any Amazon ones will be an affiliate link, so you will be supporting the content in purchasing through those. Other than that, obviously I do actually use them, so it's not like I'm just shilling you some random shit. Big up. There's a link to the fundraiser in the comments below. Please do donate. But aside from that, don't just suck it, Halford, suck it.